we started the last time with the question 734, and we stopped at point number 4. So who can read again point number 4 in order to continue from where we stopped? Go ahead.
Should the performance evaluating yes, is solely on price variance? Should the production manager's evaluation be based solely on the efficiency variance? Why it is important for Captain Stanley to understand the cause of variance before the evaluates performance?
Therefore, we said that one of the objectives of using variance analysis is to evaluate the performance of the departments and the different managers of these departments. Correct? The question here asks, do we need to focus upon the variance analysis and use the variance analysis as the sole base or the sole tool in order to evaluate the performance of the managers? Of course, here they talked only about the purchasing manager and the production manager, because here we only took the direct materials variances of price variance and efficiency variance. So what do you think? Do we need only to focus upon the variance analysis for evaluating the performance of the purchasing manager and the production manager? Why no? We need explanations, not just a yes-no answer. And be careful in this situation or in these examples or these questions. You need to, of course, state yes or no and then explain your answer. So what is the explanation? Why don't we focus all our evaluation or performance evaluation using the variance analysis? Because we said the last time that using the variance analysis by itself will not give us the correct evaluation of performance. Why? Because we said that different variances is related with each other. Therefore, if I'm going to use the price variance in order to evaluate the performance of the purchasing manager and only the price variance, and if we used the efficiency variance or only the efficiency variance in order to evaluate the performance of the production manager, therefore my evaluation would be incorrect. Why? Because as we said the last time, that we might have a relation between this price variance and the efficiency variance, and we need to understand this relation. For instance, if I'm going to use the price variance, I'm going to say that the purchasing manager did a good job, because as we can see here from our analysis that we have a $25,000 to $100 favorable price variance. That means that the purchasing manager was able to decrease the cost of purchasing the raw materials or the direct materials. Therefore, this is a good thing. But we need to consider if there were any effects of this variance on other variances within the organization. We said maybe the purchasing manager was able to decrease the price by having, or by, let us say, purchasing lower quality materials. Therefore, the lower quality materials or direct materials could explain the efficiency or the unfavorable efficiency variance by the amount of $33,000. Therefore, I need not to focus upon only one variance in our evaluation or in our performance evaluation. We need to consider the whole variance and the relation or the relations between the different variances. Therefore, because of these relations, we need not to focus our performance evaluation on one of the variances, we need to consider all the variances. We need to consider also more than the variance analysis as a tool, because as we said also in previous lectures, that if the sole purpose or the main objective of the variance analysis was the performance evaluation, therefore we are not going to learn from our mistakes. We are not going to focus about learning from our mistakes. Only we are going to play the blame game. We are going to point fingers. You did great, you didn't do great, and so on. But the main objective should be from any variance analysis is learning from our mistakes, not playing the blame game or focusing upon the evaluation of the different managers. Therefore, we need to use the variance analysis as a performance evaluation tool, but we need to consider that the variances or different variances are related to each other. This is the first point. The second point, we need to consider that we need not to focus only upon the variance analysis as the performance evaluation tool, but we need to consider also other tools of performance evaluation. Number 5. Who would like to read number 5? Yes, go ahead.
Other than performance evaluation, what reasons are there for calculating variances?
We just said that. So what are the different objectives of variance analysis? Yeah. Why do we need excellent? Why do we need to have, or why do we need to perform the variance analysis? We just said in number 4 that we need to evaluate performance using, or we can evaluate our performance of the different managers or the different departments using the variance analysis. Another thing that we need to have or we need to consider is the learning or the organizational learning. Therefore, we need to learn from our mistakes, because as we said, that the variance analysis will point us onto what went wrong with the organization, what went wrong with the processes within the organization. Therefore, we need to understand what were the causes of these variances, and also we need to learn from our mistakes and try to correct these causes or correct these problems. Therefore, 2 things other than performance evaluation: learning or organizational learning. We need to learn from our mistakes. Number 2 is taking corrective actions, which is the controlling part of any managerial decision. Any questions? Number 6. Go ahead.
What future problems could result from better bikes? Decision to buy a lower quality of titanium from the online marketplace.
Therefore, as we just saw, that the purchasing manager purchased a lower quality direct materials, and it had a problem on our usage of these direct materials. We used a lot more direct materials than we had expected, and of course this decreased our, first of all, maybe quality of our bikes. The second, maybe or the second thing that was was attained because of this variance or because of this decrease in the quality is the efficiency variance, which is the usage of more materials than expected. Therefore, what other problems, other than these problems that we just said, what other future problems that could be in play here?
Maybe our quality is low, go to other suppliers.
Excellent. Therefore, decrease in the quality of the direct materials may cause the decrease in the quality of the product itself. Decreasing the product may may achieve, or let us say, may affect our sales figures. The customers will not buy our product, but going to buy the product of our competitors. Why? Because the quality of our products has decreased. Therefore, we are going to lose the market share. This is one of the problems that could be in play if we stayed, or if the purchasing manager did actually change from the supplier or the higher quality materials to a lower quality materials.
They will lose their reputation that they are producing high quality cross-country.
Excellent, excellent. They will lose their reputation of having high quality products, which will damage their brand name on the long run. Yani we might not have this big effect on our sales figures on the short run, but on the long run, if the customers now consider this brand to be a lower quality than the quality of the market, or a lower quality of, let us say, the competitors, therefore this would affect the long run sales figures of this organization. This is another problem. What other problem, or what other problems that could be in the future for this organization? Yes?
They may lose a really good contract with a brand with a high...
They have, let us say, a consumer, a customer, or let us say a retail store that used to, or a company that used to purchase from them with high amounts, let us say, or with high number of units in its, it orders a high amount of number of units. Therefore, which is the same point that we said, that we are going to decrease, or we are going to affect, that we are going to decrease the amount of sales figures because of the lowering of the quality. Therefore, it is the same point, losing the market share.
A new contract.
Losing new contracts, excellent, which is the same thing. We are not going to have the same number of units sold as before, because our quality decreased.
It's not as before. It will be a new one.
Our expectation, it wasn't there, but our expectation is that according to our quality, according to our standard quality, we have an expectation for the future. For instance, according to our quality, according to our good quality, we had in mind that the sales would increase each year by 10%, for instance. Therefore, we considered that we might have an increasing market share. Why? Because, for instance, we have a high quality products. But if the quality of products were diminished, therefore it would have an impact on the sales figures. There would not be a 10% increase, there would be maybe a 20% decrease in sales on the ongoing years or the future years. Therefore, it is the same point that we are going to lose the market share. We are not saying losing only the market share for this year, but we are going to, or we are saying that we are going to lose the market share not only for this year, but also for the future years.
Maybe there will be a lot of returns.
Excellent. We would have a lot of returns. A lot of customers would buy under the assumption that this has a high quality, for instance, or has a higher quality than the other competitors, and then after purchasing this product, he would be shocked to know that this product is not as what it seems, is not as advertised, for instance. Therefore, this goes to the problem, or the same problem, that we are going to lose market share. We are going to affect, we are going to decrease, we are going to diminish our market share, or the ability to sell our products. What else? Yes.
Maybe lower quality decrease our price, so decrease the contribution margin, and therefore we have lower profit.
Of course, decreasing the sales will affect our profit margin. Therefore, decreasing the sales would affect that we are going to have a lower break-even point. Of course, the term break-even point you are going to take in the management accounting course, inshallah. But for now, we need to understand that decreasing the number of units sold will affect the profit that could have been attained or that was expected to be attained. Another thing that is or needs to be considered, if this organization switched from a supplier to another supplier and found out that there is a problem with the new materials, switching back to the old supplier is not as easy as we think. Because, for instance, the old supplier used to sell, for instance, 1 million pounds of titanium. But now, when we switched to another supplier, and of course we used to have, for instance, 20,000 pounds from this supplier. Therefore, this 20,000 pounds will not stay in the warehouses of this supplier, just waiting for us to go and purchase them. The old supplier would search for another companies or another customers to purchase the 20,000 pounds. For instance, the million pounds that used to be purchased from this old supplier would stay the same, 1 million pounds that is purchased from this old supplier. Therefore, if I'm going to switch back because of some of the problems in the quality, if I'm going to switch back, I'm going to find out that this old supplier that I used to make business with had sold the 20,000 pounds that I'm used to get from him to another customer. Therefore, I'm going to lose my relationship with this supplier that I had been building for a lot of years. This is a big problem that we need to consider when switching between suppliers.
Maybe it will be costly.
Of course it would be costly, because we need to first of all search for a new supplier that will give us the same price with the same quality, and then we are going to build up this relationship until it reaches to the relationship that was with the old supplier. Therefore, of course it would be costly, or it would cost the organization money in switching between different suppliers. By this we have finished problem 734. Now we are going to start with problem 735. 735. Problem 735. Anyone? Let's go ahead.
Direct manufacturing labor and direct material variances. Missing data. CNA heavily adapted. Morro Bay surfboard manufactures fiberglass surfboard. The standard cost of direct material and direct manufacturing labor is $225 per board. This is the $225. This is the direct.
Standard direct material and direct manufacturing labor.
Therefore, we need to be careful not to think that this $225 is only for the direct materials or is only for the direct labor. It is for both. Therefore, this is the cost per board for the direct materials and the direct labor. And of course, according to the question, they are going to give us some details.
This includes 30 pounds of direct material at the budgeted price at the budget price of $3 per pound. And 9 hours of direct manufacturing labor at the budgeted rate of $15 per hour.
Therefore, these are the standard prices and standard quantities.
Following are additional data for the month of July. Units completed 5.
Therefore, these are the actual amounts. Units produced.
Completed.
Yes, how much?
5,500 units.
Yes.
Direct material purchase. 190,000
190,000 pounds.
Cost of direct material purchase 579,500.
579,500. Yes.
Actual direct manufacturing labor hours 49,000 hours.
49,000 hours.
Actual direct labor cost
Yes.
739,900.
9.
Direct material efficiency variance
Yes.
1,500 favorable.
Favorable.
There were no beginning inventories.
Therefore, there is no beginning inventories. Therefore, we are going to neglect that we might have any beginning inventory for the direct materials, of course. Yes?
Required number 1. Compute direct manufacturing labor variance for July.
Therefore, we need to calculate the direct manufacturing labor variances. When they say the direct manufacturing labor variances, therefore it is specific for one item, which is the direct manufacturing labor. Therefore, we all know that the variance of the direct manufacturing labor is either a price variance or an efficiency variance. Therefore, we need to conduct a level 3 analysis. And of course, according to our level 3 analysis, we need to compare, first of all, the actual price multiplied by the actual quantity with the budgeted price multiplied by the actual quantity. Of course, the comparison between these two would be only because of the difference between the actual price and the budgeted price. And at last, we need to have the flexible budget, which is the budgeted price multiplied by the budgeted quantity. Of course, budgeted quantity for the actual output of 5,500 units. Never forget this. Do not get confused or mixed up between the budgeted quantity for the static budget and the flexible budget. Always the level 3 analysis, we are talking about, or we are considering, the actual number of units produced, whether we are talking about column number 3, 2, or 1. We are concerned with the 5,500 units. Therefore, what is the actual price and what is the actual quantity? Of course, they gave us the amount. They gave us the total amount by the amount of 739,900. This is the actual direct manufacturing labor cost, which is, or how did they get this number? They multiplied by the actual quantity by the actual price. Therefore, 739,900 is the actual cost of direct manufacturing labor, which is 49,000 hours multiplied by the actual rate. What is the actual rate? They didn't give us the actual rate from the question. Can we calculate the actual rate? Of course we can calculate the actual rate. As we can see here, we have the cost and we have the number of hours. Therefore, divide the cost by the number of hours. We are going to get the rate or the price per hour. 15.1. Now, we need to consider the budgeted price multiplied by the actual quantity. According to the question, the standard price or the budgeted price is $15 per hour. Therefore, $15 multiplied by the actual quantity, which also is given according to the example or according to the question, 49,000. Therefore, the amount would be $735,000. Now, the budgeted price multiplied by the budgeted quantity for the actual output, which is the flexible budget. The budgeted price is $15 multiplied by the budgeted quantity. As according to our question, the standard is 9 hours per unit. Therefore, 9 hours multiplied by the actual number of units produced or completed, which is the 5,500. The amount would be 742,500. Of course, the comparison between these two would give us the price variance, and the comparison between these two would give us the efficiency variance. As we can see here, we should have incurred 735,000, but actually we incurred 739,000. Therefore, we incurred more than expected. Therefore, this is an unfavorable price variance. The difference between the two is $4,900, which is a price, of course, variance. We should have incurred 742,500 according to our budgeted quantity, but actually we incurred only 735,000 according to our actual quantity. Therefore, we incurred less cost. Therefore, this is a favorable variance. The difference between the two is $7,500, which is the efficiency variance. Any questions? As we can see, the procedure is the same. If we are talking about the direct manufacturing labor, if we are talking about the direct materials, all the analysis is or the same, or the procedure of the variance analysis is always the same. It is repeating itself over and over again. But of course, the analysis, the calculation, we do not have any problems in the calculation. The calculation is straightforward, but the analysis, we need to consider the analysis and the relations, of course, as we said, between the different variances, and we need to consider what is the goals of the variance analysis in order to evaluate performance, in order to learn, in order to make corrective actions, and so on. Therefore, the analysis of these variances is an important thing to, or the interpretation of these variances is the main point of any variance analysis, not only the calculation of these variances. Any questions? Now, number 2.
Compute the actual amount of direct material used in production and delivery.
The actual quantity. We need to calculate the actual quantity of direct materials that have been used. Correct? And of course, according to the question, as we can see here, they gave us the efficiency variance. They gave us the standard quantity according to our 5,500 units. Therefore, in order to calculate, how we can calculate the actual quantity? What do you think? Yes, how we can calculate the actual quantity of the direct materials used. And as we can see here, that
The actual quantity, we can like this.
excellent. Therefore, according to our question, we know that we have a direct materials efficiency variance by the amount of 1,500 favorable variance. Correct? Therefore, this is the first known. The second known, we know that the direct materials use up 30 pounds with a standard price of $3 according to our 5,500, which is the amount according to our flexible budget. Therefore, the difference between the flexible budget, which is the third column, and the second column is the efficiency variance. So we could calculate the amount according to our second column, which is the actual quantity multiplied by the budgeted price. Correct? We know the budgeted price, so we can calculate the actual quantity. Correct? Therefore, we are going to do the same analysis, but we are not going to do the analysis or the calculation from A to B. We are going to make it from B to A. Therefore, in number 2, the actual quantity multiplied by the budgeted price, and of course the budgeted quantity for the actual output multiplied by the budgeted price for the direct materials, of course. Therefore, the budgeted quantity is 30 pounds multiplied by 5,500 units, correct? Multiplied by the budgeted price or the standard price, which is $3. Therefore, the amount here could be or would be $5,000. Now, the difference between this and this is what? Is the efficiency variance, which is $1,500 favorable. Correct? Therefore, what would be the amount in column number 2? Will we add the amount or deduct the amount? If we have a favorable, it means that the actual quantity or this cost was less than the expected cost. That's why we would have a favorable variance. It means that the actual costs incurred according to the actual quantity was larger than the expected cost that was incurred because of the budgeted quantity. Therefore, 495,000 minus 1,500 is 493,500. Of course, the 493,500, this is not the actual quantity. We need to calculate the actual quantity. In order to calculate the actual quantity, we know that this cost is the multiplication of the actual quantity by the budgeted price. Do we know the budgeted price? The budgeted price, according to our question, is $3. And we do not know the actual quantity. We need to calculate the actual quantity. Therefore, the actual quantity equals 493,500 divided by 3, which will equal 164,500 pounds. This would be the actual quantity used by our production process. Of course, we could calculate the amount using a different perspective. We know that this efficiency variance is because of the difference between the budgeted quantity and the actual quantity using the budgeted price. So what if the $1,500 were directly divided by $3? This would give us what? 500 what? 500 pounds. Therefore, the 1,500, what do you mean by 1,500 efficiency variance? Excellent. It means that the cost of the budgeted quantity was more than the actual quantity by this amount, using the budgeted price. Therefore, if we divided the $1,500 by $3, which is the standard price or the budgeted price, we would actually calculate the difference between the budgeted quantity and the actual quantity. Therefore, this would be 500 pounds. Of course, this is not the actual quantity. This is only the difference between the actual quantity and the budgeted quantity. So what is the budgeted quantity? As we can see here, 5,500 multiplied by 30, which is 165,000, I think, pounds. This is the budgeted. And we just said that the actual quantity is less by 500 pounds. Why? Because we have a favorable variance. What do you mean by favorable? That the actual is less than the budgeted or than the expected. Therefore, if we know that the actual is less by 500 pounds, therefore the actual would be quantity 165,000 pounds minus the 500 pounds. Therefore, it would be 164,500 pounds. Therefore, we could use this long version of the solution, or we could use this short version of the solution. Any questions? If you have questions, please ask. Number 3.
Calculate the actual price per pound of direct materials issued.
Of course, they need us to calculate the actual price of purchasing direct materials. It is so obvious and so easy. Why? Because they gave us the quantity that was purchased and they gave us the cost that was purchased by. Therefore, this cost is the multiplication of the purchased amount or purchased quantity by the price or the actual price, correct? Therefore, if we divided 579,500 by 190,000, we would get the actual price of purchasing the direct materials. Therefore, number 3, the actual price is 579,500 divided by 190,000 pounds. which would equal 3.05, I think. $3.05 per pound. Any questions? Number 4.
Calculate the direct material price variance.
The direct materials price variance. Therefore, the direct materials price variance is the difference between the actual price and the budgeted price. According to what? According to the actual quantity what? Used or purchased? Purchase. We are always, when we talk about the price variance, we are talking about the purchased materials. And when we are talking about the efficiency variance, we are talking about the quantity that has been used within the manufacturing process. Therefore, in order to get our price variance, or the direct materials price variance, we need to have the actual, of course, quantity purchased multiplied by the actual price, which is given by the amount of 579,500, and compared with the actual quantity multiplied by the budgeted price. Therefore, 190,000 multiplied by $3.05 would equal 579,500. And here the actual quantity is also 190,000 pounds, which is purchased, of course, multiplied by the budgeted price of $3, which would be $570,000. Therefore, the difference between these two, as we can see here, we should have incurred, according to our expectations, 570, but we have incurred 579,500. Therefore, we have incurred more costs. Therefore, this is an unfavorable variance. The difference is 9,500. This would be the price variance. Of course, we could calculate the same amount directly by the following equation, which would give us the 9,500, which is the same thing. Any questions? Any questions? By this, we have finished our discussion of chapter number 7, and we are going the next time, inshallah, we are going to start with chapter number 8, which is concerned with the same topic, which is the variance analysis, but now we are going to consider the analysis of the variances between or of the variable manufacturing overhead and the fixed manufacturing overhead. Thank you for listening, and I'm going to see you the next time.